Dogface. Dogface, I'm the dude.
One minute, dude.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fight! You.
What's up?
What's happening?
Well, it's January 7th, 2025. And surprise, we're still doing this. Nothing can stop us now.
Did everybody leave a plate of pot brownies and some milk out for the Buffalo Horn Shaman for January 6th yesterday?
Happy New Year and Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yes, and a happy Sixthmas to Patriots. Patriots.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've got dirty dishes in every room of the house.
Yeah.
What of it?
Does that one also get a dick in a box?
Vanilla wafers? Is that the answer?
Oh,
I mean, Kwanzaa's dick in a box. Christmas is dick in a box. I mean, is January 6th?
is it dick in a box? No, you get to take a shit on Nancy Pelosi's desk.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's not quite an upper decker. I would upper decker her toilet, but
Oh, guaranteed.
Are we allowed to talk about politics?
some of us
on
have
this one?
class.
Poop
Some
in
of
her
us have
fridge.
class.
I'm kind of sheepish to bring up this topic, but a Grammy winner who was president of America is undergoing an apotheosis right now. I think he's becoming a god man or
Yeah.
a man god.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is that the last normal president we'll ever have? And by normal, I mean, wasn't he a peanut farmer?
Well, he was also Navy intelligence.
So he had a job. You know, he picked some peanuts. He was doing the thing that machines are going to do now.
And he was also the Trilateral Commission's freaking bitch. But
What is a trilateral commission? Is that a car part?
yes, it is. It is. It goes right in between the Bilderberg and the WEF pump.
Hail Billing, hail Stella, hail Dead Wolf. Glad you guys to make it at this unannounced start time. Love you, Billing. Yeah, there's a few things that Steve said that were like little coined phrases that he said when I first met him. One of them was that irony died in 9/11. And that one's always been funny, but you know that we live in a cartoon, and the every year I'm not sure if that fucker fucking did something to me or something, but it's just gotten more and more cartoonish every year since I've known him.
Yeah,
and they've got that ratcheted up so bad right now. It's like you can't even. It's just rapid fire with it. You can't even keep up. Like. For Marcus and I used to normally do a conspiracy show, and in a conspiracy world, like it's too much. It's overload. You're like, all the stuff, you know, like it's just all happening, and all of it's ridiculous. Like the whole thing with. That the technocrats are now pushing a new idea, old idea, UN idea, blah, blah, blah. Like, and they went from right wing to, and then it went to Elon Musk kicking a whole bunch of people off of, or demonetizing and taking away their blue checks.
Mm-hmm.
Because too many people talking poorly about the small hats and because that's always the thing with the right wing, left wing. If you're going to go and be on the more liberal side, you have to accept that, you know, the trannies, and you have to accept all that kind of crazy thing. and all the bleeding heart things. And then if you're going to go right wing, you have to accept that, like, they're totally pro-Israel, totally pro small hat.
They don't even try to pretend like
Yeah.
the Trump out there talking about make Israel great again, all that kind of stuff. Jet fuel can't melt irony. That's correct. That is correct.
That's kind of been a major topic, a sticking point where they hit you right in the wallet with this idea of labor. I know that there was a phrase we heard a few years ago called essential workers, and now talking about skin color as being a thing that determines how well someone can complete a task at a job site.
Mm-hmm.
We already knew that. If you've ever been on a construction site, we're already aware of that.
Right. Well,
The
I mean,
different fields are color coded,
Sure. And going back to this idea of when on Weaving Spiders, we were talking about conspiracy and symbolism and the humor of all of this, and not taking any of it seriously, to say that all of this stuff is language games, it's all for media, it's all for political circus and theatrics. But it gets really weird, and I don't know if this is irony or satire or literature at all, but having this idea that bringing what they call Indians to America to do tech jobs, it's just confusing because you go back a few years, Indians meant a different term. It was like a different redskin type of a thing. And now we're talking about brown skin, but not from north or from south. What are borders and what are directions? So the idea that this racial thing is going to continue to be the bait forever, where it's like we were noticing Zendaya.
Well, in this case, you have a distinct contrast because apparently immigrants from Spanish nations are bad immigrants, and immigrants from depending on what area, but immigrants from India, those are good immigrants, and they should get a special provision that allots them to come in. So that's really where the problem comes in, is the discrepancy in that there's a lot of the right wing talking about a complete moratorium on any kind of immigration, legal or illegal. And you got the technocrats that are in charge of the right wing right now wanting to go, okay, well, moratorium on everything but special privileges to India so we can import computery guys.
But it's not even computery guys that they're doing, because the argument was from Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon. The argument was we're members of a global community. If we want a strong country, because now there's this idea in the conservative party that America is just a set of ideas. It's not the land or the people or anything like that. It's a set of ideas. So we don't need the native population to have American ideas and ideals. And so you can replace what their argument is, get the best engineers, the brightest scientists from all over the world, and we'll get them here on H-1B visas. And the problem with that is that there's already a category for the best and the brightest from all over the world, and celebrities from all over the world. That's why we have like 7-foot tall Slavic basketball players and stuff like that. And it's the O1 visa program or the Genius visa program. And they'll pass them out to just about anybody. Apparently, Melania Trump, the model and softcore porn star, got here on a Genius visa.
Well, I can't argue with her genius. I mean, her smartest move was marrying the president.
Yep. But so what they're doing, and what the H-1B visas are it's a lottery-based system that will get the lowest skilled worker to a medium skilled worker over here. and it allows the company to not have to pay out benefits, to not necessarily have to pay competitive wages. It basically weds that employee to the job because they're there on a work visa. So if they don't have the job, they get booted out of the country.
Or are you telling me that the company store is coming back?
100%. Mm-hmm.
God,
Elon
I love those
and
songs.
Zuckerberg and
Good music from that era. Good
heck
music
yeah.
from that era.
Heck yeah.
That's what we need, is some super real bad suffering and some real bad fucking people over, so we get some good music again.
Right. I really thought we were gonna get some legitimate punk rock and hip hop out of the lockdown era, and instead we had Rage on Behalf of the Vaccine.
Yeah.
And the Foo Fighters.
It really is interesting how just about everywhere, including on the internets, the new thing's the same as the old thing. Whether it's Tucker Carlson or old football players or whatever, slowly this space has been totally taken over by people that were just the people on TV.
Mm-hmm.
They just new things, just the old thing is the new thing.
Yep. Did a slow news day, I think, a couple of years ago, where me and Glory Jones were going in on this concept, and I think the show was called like new media is old media. You've got everybody that's formed up was kind of front and center of this mainstream alternative media. They all had decades long careers in mainstream, all of them. Whether it's Rogan doing TV and stuff like that, or Tucker at the news, or Russell Brand, from BBC Radio to doing their fake or their British MTV shit, and then movies and all that kind of stuff. Like, they're all mainstream celebrities, all of them.
Yeah, all the alternative media at this point is entirely mainstream celebrities. With the easy example of this is Cenk Uygur, who is still absolutely just mainstream. And
I always forget about that clown.
Yeah, but he was the first really truly sanctioned alternative media that was just a break off mainstream to try and suck up the people that were actually going alternative. Mm-hmm. He was given this large platform and space and promoted because he was basically going to be another wing of the left wing, just like another little offshoot of it.
Yeah.
So is this engineered to create polarization, and they are creating both of the polarized sides of whatever it is?
I mean, yeah, it's also to suck as much oxygen out of the independent media space as humanly possible, so that the audience doesn't find people who aren't agenda driven or trying to just grift them or give them 30 to 80% of the story, but never 100% of it. And so it just kind of pushes people into the exact same bubbles that they were in when they, were just bought into the mainstream media nonsense. It's just online now. That's it. Years ago, when I first started doing Slow News Day, my nickname for Cenk Uygur was Cable News on the Internet Guy.
Yeah.
It just couldn't fit on a bumper sticker. And then I started calling him Cenk Eunuch. And
that's a good one.
He blocked me.
I don't know why.
Yeah, now in 2025, you can follow your favorite celebrity on multiple platforms and then see which one that they don't respond to right away.
Mm-hmm.
Because not everyone's logged into all of the media platforms on their cell phone that they take with them everywhere they go. And it's sort of this Minority Report thing, the Spielberg movie based off of, the famous author's book about, when Tom Cruise's character sees his picture or his animated face on an advertisement telling him to buy the product, and he's a little bit confused by that. We're looking at the feature that Zuckerberg's rolled out to, was it Instagram, where they have AI personalities.
Mm-hmm.
So they've created AI personalities to then appeal to the demographics that they want to market to directly, which gets into this idea of, if it was not necessarily the last 4 years only, but your entire life on Facebook, and then tie that to your Instagram account, and now you've got your Meta account, so you have maybe going back to 2005 an entire life history of who you are, and then that's a good chunk of data to now create pastiches of people to fit into what you'd think that person would be. And then those people will share their opinions on the platform, which will engage people in conversation. But people need to remember that when they're commenting on an AI bot person's post, that was allowed to be discussed. So the issue that's being brought up should be, from the get-go, suspicious. Why are we having this topic at this time of year? And then what is the next move and the move after that? So an example of this is with Will Smith releasing a cryptic message that looks Matrix-like, and people are thinking, well, this could be his way of saying that because he wasn't in the first Matrix movie when he was maybe offered the role, he read the script, didn't like it, now he's going to maybe be in the Matrix 5. Well, that would be wishful thinking. It's much more along the lines of being a product placement in a Super Bowl commercial, because it's advertisements. So in thinking in terms of what companies are doing, their announcement for an announcement to a teaser for something that we're looking forward to is the product and the experience and everything we're looking forward to. So in a nihilistic society where, man, can't get a job, money's expensive, everything costs too much, the one thing we have to look forward to is opening up X, Threads, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever it is, and seeing celebrities teasing an announcement for a project that we're supposed to jump onto a hype train for. Now, what is the alternative to that in the media? We can't go against that, because all of the funding and all of the advertising has to be in alignment with our own goals as creators. So we can't speak ill against any product ever, because the parent company owns multiple products. So if we say we don't like product A, B, and C, all the other products under that umbrella are going to the same marketing, which is kind of the social credit score thing playing out.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not in the way we thought it was, but the idea is still finding its way. So all these predictive films in what we thought the world in 2025 would be like aren't necessarily the way we thought they'd be 20 years ago, but we didn't have the idea or the imagination of what the goal was going to be. We were much more short-sighted. But now I want to go back to borders and maps and the idea of building a wall. But now instead of building a wall, let's just take over Mexico and Canada and Greenland.
Hey, you don't need a wall if it's suddenly a part of your country.
Super interesting that they were the anti-globalist and now they're globalist. Well, America is just an idea. Like, could you say any more globalist of things? Like, I don't even understand how it hasn't imploded. Like I said, the thing that is setting people off is the small hats. A lot of people are still mad about that. They're taking a beating right now But now Musk just comes out and just pulls everybody's credentials on that. And there was big names on there. I was pretty shocked. Myron from Fresh and Fit got pulled.
Owen Schroyer got pulled. His blue check got pulled. Owen Schroyer.
Yeah. Nick Fuentes got pulled. Not that I'm a fan of his or a fan of even any of these names, but just, they got pulled for saying anything that was anti-small hat. And that's super interesting.
Well, under the guise of the H-1B thing, though, really, it was so the way that it's interesting how it played out. Chaos agent Laura Loomer was deployed to start the whole shitstorm with Elon in the first place. And everybody, all the people that jumped on the bandwagon to be like, hey, actually, she's nuts, but this is kind of fucked up. All of the people that were doing that were the people who got their check marks removed, their subscribers removed, something like that. That's when we found out that Laura Loomer had like 200,000 subscribers at a minimum of $1 a month. Laura Loomer's making almost about $250,000 a month on Twitter. Right?
All right.
So with that kind of money, dude, you're being directed to go start that fight. What did happen is a whole bunch of regular people lost their Twitter accounts, got their accounts suspended. A whole bunch of Nick Fuentes' Groiper kids all got their fucking accounts suspended. And I think that was like orchestrated. I did. And I think that the Groipers were specifically targeted for removal. I could be wrong about that, but it's what it looks like. They're the ones who got the most of the ban hammers. They're, there's still people that are connected to them that I don't think got their subscribers back yet or their blue check back yet. I know Owen Schroyer did. And Laura Loomer did too. And she got her blue check back and didn't immediately go and fuck everybody who, she switched subjects. Stopped talking about the Elon thing altogether. She's like, where's the fog?
What about Jake Shields?
What about him?
How's that guy doing?
Did he get his back?
Oh, I don't know.
So then financial, that's
no blue
concern.
check for old Jake. Almost did 831,000 followers. He was probably making a pretty penny from those Twitter subscriptions too.
Yeah. You would have to think.
Yeah, the financial thing is difficult to see what's going on.
He was doing some wild shit because right before he lost his check mark, Marcus was pointing him out to us, and some of the wild shit he was doing. He was having a David Duke interview, which I'm just like, that guy's still fucking alive. Holy shit!
Yeah,
he was young when he started stirring shit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the question of, Rumble being an alternative to YouTube, but will it remain an alternative if it's purchased by a conglomerate?
I mean, dude, Peter Thiel put $500 million into it.
Right.
Vivek Ramaswamy put $100 million into it. Freaking Don Jr.'s got money in it. Dan Bongino, it's narrative management. That's what it is. It's YouTube for right wingers. It always has been. We've been censored to hell and gone on Rumble. Reach limited. Freaking don't show up as live. You have to specifically type in the name of the show. If something isn't capitalized or there's something like that, it fucking doesn't pop up right away. It's just I've had videos demonetized. And they run 8 billion commercials a freaking episode, even on live streams.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Twitch will do that, where you're watching whatever the Twitch stream is owned by Amazon, and then I think it might even be random. So dynamic ad insertion happens at random. It doesn't care if there's a pause in conversation. It doesn't detect that. It just spits out the advertisements.
Yep.
So you might just be out of it for 30 seconds while the stream is still streaming. So you just missed 30 seconds of the stream. That's not great for consumers. That's not great for the viewers, and it's almost a form of psychological punishment to say, I want to watch, I want to support, but then it's just.
I don't think it's supposedly that. If I was going to guess, I would guess it's algorithm driven. So they understood that, like back when we were kids,
right,
in a 22-minute program, you got 8 minutes of commercials, and they broke it up into 3 sets of commercials.
Sure.
You get a short set of commercials, a long set of commercials, and a short set of commercials, and then it would switch over to a new show.
When everyone,
but you got approximately 22 minutes of the word programming. They were exactly what they're doing. Well, in today's society, as opposed to then, our attention span has dropped severely. So my guess is if they tried playing 3 back-to-back commercials that were more than 15 seconds each, that person's already switched to a different thing. They aren't even trying to stick around through that. And so that they've discovered that maximum they can get away with is 2 commercials. One of them has to be short, and then maybe one slightly longer one, but they start doing it at a much higher duration. But then also with the limited attention span, that's fine for most people. Sure, it's going to bother some people like us who would like to have the consistent stream of thought, but a lot of people, that break is not a problem for them. So all they're doing is fitting into the algorithm of that.
Right. So my concern with that is the disruption mechanism that technology has. So say we have a big streamer who ends their stream and then they rate us. So they say, hey, go check out these guys. They're streaming now. And then they see that there's an uptick in viewership. And then they could just hit everybody with a commercial for, 90 seconds. And that could kill the momentum. So if we're trying to organize something and we're on other people's platforms, ultimately we're behaving in the ways that allow us to remain on the platform. And that goes back to the argument, well, go and build your own video site or go and build your own blog or website. But then those are punished in search results.
Yeah.
And on sharing on social media. So,
and I think Gregory Walker's got a point that the platform's almost making things unwatchable unless you get the premium subscription.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It really seems like they're trying to drive people over to premium by oversaturating with ads.
I know some of the platforms that are more and honestly, the funny thing is, well, the bigger ones they've demonetized, so obviously the monetized ones, this is demonetized ones, this isn't a problem. But even the smaller ones, like some of these other debate platforms, like Flow State, his show's not real big, and it'll have a lot on his one, or Raging Tomato, hers is like every 3 minutes you're like, you can barely get through an actual opening statement, and you're like, I missed chunks of that statement.
Yeah That's just, it's shitty. And yeah, no, God, I think Greg's absolutely correct on that. Just make people so sick of it that they're like, all right, how much you want for premium? I'm freaking paying it.
Yeah.
Is that under the category of demoralization?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So even if you at one point in your history and your affinity towards a streamer, you like them, you like the platform, it's okay. Over time, it gets worse and worse and worse. But
Oh, you're
the habit
describing
forms.
Rockfin.
Well, that's the next thing I want to talk about is Rockfin. Were they
Where did
arranging
this come from, Steve?
Huh?
Huh? Any other time I've said a foul word about Rockfin, you've jumped my shit.
Oh, what's going on, guys? Is there a beef here?
Yeah. No. I mean, dude,
Some bad feelings?
very supportive of those guys until about a year ago. And they changed up a whole bunch of shit. Now most of the same people don't even work there or have ownership in it. And yeah, they went from um something really promising to something that they just sort of let go to shit.
Dude, when they switched it from it was $8
Yep.
subscription, and then that was just it. You know, if you paid a subscription, you got to watch anybody on Rockfin or whatever. You could pay $15 or $5 just to watch this one guy's show. That fucked us right there. Also, and then they didn't give us a larger sum because before that, when they first started, they were really good. Like you got like seven of the $8 if they subscribed under your name or something like that. And it mostly looked like the whole mechanism behind it was to try and push their coin. So they were really just being generous to the creators to draw on creators. And then when they made that leap, there was nothing in it for the creators. Nothing. And then the pay started getting real sketchy. Like guys like Brian Stavely even were like, have they released the money? What's going on? And that guy used to get a lot on Rockfin.
Yeah. No, there were a few months in a row where they were just they weren't paying out. They got harassed by like everybody, gave a total bullshit fucking we're working to streamline the process. Yeah. What was unstreamlined about it when you were paying out at the beginning of every month for the last month? Well, how is that unstreamlined, and how is, taking 3.5 weeks in a month to issue your freaking magic tokens, streamlining it?
They were minting themselves so they could just create more tokens and then send them out. That was never quite clear to me as well. And the other question I had with Rockfin was I would leave a Rockfin window open on multiple screens on multiple devices using multiple variations on browsers, so like Safari, Chrome, whatever. I was using Brave, and then just forgetting about it, walking away, come back an hour later, and I can just hear all the fans running. Things are feeling really hot. What's going on? Check the CPU usage and the cycles and what it is. Well, it was going back to a tab that Rockfin had open.
Yeah.
So were they using distributed CPU processing without asking permission or disclosing that to viewers, that was what they were doing to run? And at this point, I don't have confirmation about it, but it would seem to me if they had set that up in that way, instead of their Ray token, were they mining Bitcoin instead, or were they in a pool for something else? So they were finding the ways to profit and maximize profit, certainly, but the short stick was handed out to the creators, which were bringing in the viewership.
Yeah.
And that's just how the cycle continues with all of the new platforms.
And there was a very short time where, because of the COVID, they presented themselves as a platform that was not going to kick off or demonetize or take away your channel, and really presented themselves as a free speech platform and whatnot. And pulled themselves in a fairly heavy share of people all at once, and then just kind of pulled the rug out from under most of them.
Mm-hmm.
And
Sure.
with Steve being one of those folks, and myself, I got a rock fan also, and I just started noticing some discrepancies before other folks did, and complained about them loudly.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, and dude, even you know, I fucking spent all last year railing on Rockfin. And still, I mean, even still, like I wouldn't have a show if they didn't give me a channel fucking 5 years ago. You know?
Yeah.
But,
No, they were really good to the creators at the beginning. That's the real heartbreaking part of it. Is they, part of what they did is they took up and coming guys and you know, sucked in a market share of them before they snatched the rug out from underneath everybody. Especially, you know, at a time when things were rocky with YouTube for so many, and they were looking for a place to land.
Yeah, and that nobody was watching anything on Rumble, and there was no traffic on Minds or any of that other shit.
Minds never did take off, did it?
No, not as far as I know.
And Rumble was really bad when it started. Remember how bad, like half the videos didn't work at all if you clicked on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's very true.
I do agree with Christy too, that the Rumble app, the Rockfin app, on almost everything, if I use it on anything except for Firefox on my computer, I can't. It's almost not worth watching it. And you certainly don't want to try and use the chat. That's ridiculous. Don't do that.
I've never had that actual the chat. Yes, on mobile for sure. I've never had a problem with the desktop chat. They did somehow make it like a little bit shittier.
Yes, and that is general consensus amongst tech guys all over, the fact that the optimization of server-side handling of pictures and video and multimedia is not a priority because they want you to buy new hardware. So for people who have to rely on the computers and the cell phones and the smartphones and the tablets that they have, those are purposely being crippled by the fact that things just aren't optimized. So you have to buy the newest processor that can handle the video. Ever try to play a DVD on a Celeron processor and it just spins and spins and spins, and then it loads 10 seconds, plays a video, and then it pauses, and the DVD starts spinning up again and loads more. It's like, well, why are you doing this? Well, it's not optimized. So now you have to buy the new Intel processor with the new screen to get the best resolution. And that goes back to even like Blu-ray. So the Blu-ray disc, physical media, try playing that on a Blu-ray player on a computer. A Hollywood movie isn't going to play because they don't have software and codecs to decode the stuff. Your best option is buying a PlayStation 3.
Why a 3 specifically?
Because PlayStation 3 is a Sony proprietary Blu-ray software, so it's all bundled together. It's made to be the best possible experience. It's not an open format.
No, a 4 doesn't have that.
Does a 4 have a disk drive? Does a PlayStation 5 have a disk drive?
I don't fucking know.
Some of them did.
You say this to me like I fucking like. You're like, well, that's ridiculous.
Well, yeah, haven't you been to
does a chicken have duck bill?
Don't you talk? Don't you talk to the Geek Squad?
Wait, I'll fucking know what a fucking video games got on. I assume they all had little discs to put in them still.
No, it's a digital delivery system. Do you know what Steam is?
Is this like the fucking Blue's Clues, dude?
I'm giving you some clues. This is the own nothing and be happy situation where this is how you burn a book. This is how you destroy media. This is how you
So
change things.
PlayStation 3, because PlayStation 4 and 5 don't have disc readers.
The cheaper versions don't have disk drives, so they
Or
would
disc
be
drives. That's
right.
what I meant. Yeah.
Right. So even if you bought a disc and put the game into your hardware to play the game, you'll find that the game isn't on the disc. So you have to put the disc in to recognize that you have a key to connect to a server to download the game. So everything is connected to the internet.
Nope. Not doing it.
Are there more people saying no?
Wouldn't be
no,
prudent.
no? Don't
Not
buy
gonna
this
do
stuff?
it. Well, you got to wonder how many people are going to bail on crap like that where they're doing these monthly charges. The same as like BMW decided they're going to do monthly charges on their heated seats in your car that you paid extra to get an option in the car. But
Right.
now you also have to pay extra to have the option usable. Like,
Yep.
how long before people are just done with that, just tired of it?
That's a real fatigue, a real consumer fatigue. And with that comes the fatigue of, well, I guess all my friends are moving over to Blue Sky or whatever it is. So now I got to try to make an account. And then to get an account, well, maybe there's more verification involved. So the
What the
idea
hell
I was
does
going to
that mean? Griffane, 45 cents. Citadel, 3 cents. You were made aware. I was made aware of what? The fuck kind of gibberish you talking about over here, dude?
So they've got a Key Squad guy.
As bad as fucking
up.
Marcus up here. Ain't don't got a fucking drive. What the fuck's a Griffane? Why is it 45 cents? I don't give a shit about a Griffane. Is this something I need in my life? Is this Harry Potter? Have I been chosen for Gryffindor?
No, it's I'm guessing it's crypto shit. Maybe it's better than Fartcoin. Maybe it is.
Gotta give me
Maybe
context.
it's going to
here.
the moon like butthole coin, which is an actual thing, apparently.
Why would I buy cryptos at all?
In 2025, I don't know that there's a compelling reason. Maybe that's a debate that we'll have to have a formal
We
debate.
shall be having that debate. 100% Jaron, who's a hot commodity right now, but not for this reason, not for the crypto reason. He's always been a hot Bitcoin advocate and crypto advocate. I probably have more Slytherin. Yeah, you're probably right about that, Ryan. But he's always been an advocate, so he's going to come in and debate crypto with us, which obviously we're all pretty anti-crypto.
The reality of the situation, and conveniently, I think the Genesis block of Bitcoin January 3rd, how many years ago?
2009, 2010.
Yeah, it's time passes quickly, and the promise of Bitcoin and then Ethereum. I think the Ray tokens that we were talking about with Rockfin were built off of an Ethereum network,
And then they switched them to like you still have to. I think you still have to cash it or convert it to ETH before it converts to USD. Like you still have to do that. That's the other thing.
Sure.
It
So
sucks,
that's like
They-
financial arbitrage, isn't that?
Yeah.
Where you have like currency valuations in different time zones and places, and it's like, well, numbers change, graphs go up, graphs go down. You sell high, buy low, or whatever the thing you think you're doing is to be a day trader on a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week market.
Mhm.
You don't even get a damn disc anymore that works. It's almost like just like a fucking like the little chit that you used to have at the movie store to take it up because there wasn't an actual movie back there, and they'd go back and get a movie. You're like, that's basically what they're selling you now.
Correct.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah, and is that just government getting in the way to say, well, we don't want our kids playing violent video games, so they have to show an identification at the Walmart. They can't just give them cash and say, hey, I want that M-rated Call of Duty game. It's like, no, now you have to show your ID to prove that you're
What's
of age.
M-rated mean?
Mature. Mature would be like 17 plus.
So it's like an NC-17?
NC-17 would be a movie rating that isn't profitable, so they don't make those movies anymore.
You dickhead. You know that's what I was trying to make a metaphorical comparison, because I don't understand.
In video game ratings, that would be adult only, and that would be like a booby game.
So it's like an R?
This is sort of getting into the conversation of who determines what is R-rated content, and has that changed over time. But to answer the question in terms of video games are artistic depictions of things that look more and more realistic, but you're not seeing real breasts. You're not, God of War and PlayStation 2.
They're a lot more real than they were on the Custer's Last Stand video game with the Indian.
That's true. Laura Croft sold a lot of CDs.
Yeah, she had like the pyramids.
Yep,
correct. Yep.
Freaking Roblox boobies.
Yep, that's a great way to get a kid to figure out how a computer works. Is you leave a Tomb Raider 2 disc around on a shelf and the computer over there, and how do we install this game to play the game because there's a girl on it? That is certainly a motivating factor in marketing. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You need to quit talking like this and remember that the patriarchy is very anti-female character. So you need to stop talking like that. Like, get in your role. Get in your role.
Well, with a new president and a handover of power, is that a apostolic succession where someone touches somebody and the power just goes to the next guy? I don't understand what we're seeing.
Oh, that's a big mouth.
Oh, we have a guest on the mic tonight.
Hey, buddy.
That's a big boy. Can we get some pibble snorts? Let's get some pig bull snorts.
Getting some ASMR licking sounds.
A little piggy.
Give a little piggy noise.
Oh, buddy, Gomez.
No, you're not going to snort? Okay. That's fine. That's fine.
Not going to give it to us.
That's okay.
When you ask for it,
like I'm not a dancing chicken.
You're right.
It's not on demand.
Right. Oh. Oh. Hi, puppy. What do you want?
So are the dogs taking over and now the cats are living in fear?
I picked all the cats out today.
Okay.
Suckers. Well, except for a couple. Spookums and my cutest kitty and stuff. But I kicked most of them out. And I locked up their little get in, get out hole.
We're finding more.
Well, yeah, that's the worst part is that, I've been kicking them out all day. They come every so often, another wave of them comes from upstairs.
Is it a pink wave?
Wave of pussy, yeah.
A pink hand wave?
Pink hand wave. I made a pink hand. Well, it doesn't really look pink on screen. When I put it on screen, it was red, but it should have been pink. And I waved it.
Okay.
Madonna cones. Yeah, Madonna had those rocket boobs too.
Appealing to the demographic in our audience. The inside jokes really helps. I know with CNN on their December 31st New Year's Eve celebration, they allowed some people to use substances and be on the air
again. Yeah.
On the LSD at that, a highly regulated substance.
Right, and I was
like, that's not
about
cannabis,
that.
Which most states have legalized. That's nobody's legalized fucking LSD.
Right. So, do you know the Potash guy who made something called CIA weapons as drugs as weapons against us?
Yeah.
Watching, I think him and Steve make out sometimes.
Well, yeah. So I'm just realizing that, if Frank Zappa is hanging out with artist people, but not doing any of the fun club drugs. Is that sort of what we're seeing again happen through this CNN disclosure of that LSD exists and adults can use it and that's okay. But then what happens when, okay, well, try it, and we don't know what moderation
The ball
is.
drops in New York, right?
Times Square, I think. Yeah, Times Square, New Year's Eve.
They haven't really done a whole bunch of crazy legalization like I could see in California, because they've lightened up on at least mushrooms and things like that and decriminalized them in a lot of California.
Yeah, it's all plant-based psychedelics. You can grow them in your house. You can grow fucking
But
ayahuasca in your greenhouse.
Sunshine. He didn't say argot. He said he's taking LSD.
Yeah,
but that's
Didn't you say
very
he was microdosing though.
Huh?
Didn't you say he was microdosing on the New Year's Eve special?
Well, my point is, how is that even allowed? Wouldn't they just bleep that? Wouldn't they cut the feed? Wouldn't they go to
It
a
was
different
live.
camera?
I mean, there's a delay.
Right.
But...
Well, they know that, but he did not
that's
suffer
gotta fall
backlash.
under the category of like where Eminem, when he had his that court case where he said music, you're doing that for an entertainment factor. That doesn't mean he's going to go out just because he says he's going to go out and blat somebody or whatever. Doesn't mean that he's actually going to go do that. That's hyperbolic in order to, make it entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
So I would assume that falls under the same category. He'd be like, we thought it would be more entertaining if we acted like we were high on LSD. That does not necessarily mean we were taking LSD.
My curiosity in mentioning these cultural shifts and changes that we find frustrating, I don't know if everyone else finds them frustrating, but really, how do we gather enough information amongst ourselves to take a climate sort of check to see how warm things are, where things are cooling down in terms of culture? Like, what are the hot topics? What are the cold topics? What are things that could get you in trouble? What are things that are going to get you high fives and praise for talking about? And how and it's not just the new president. It's not Elon Musk.
You gotta love that with the social credit system coming out. They aren't pushing that at all. Don't talk about what we want you to talk about. That's not going to take full effect.
Right. So if you want to be alternative and you want to be punk and you want to be against the machine and you want to punch Nazis and play Yahtzee and do the cool things.
Well, no, that's not really punk anymore, isn't it? Isn't that more mainstream? Isn't that like the whole left side took and subsumed that?
Right. I mean, even the idea of hot topic is now the store hot topic, but that's old news. So to be a young person who's in alternative, who is a punk, who's standing against the system, is it an Alex Jones sort of globalism thing that made it silly to stand against globalism because Alex Jones just made it laughable?
Now that he's a globalist?
Now that he's on either Ozempic or has a personal trainer, I mean, he seems to be physically fit and really menacing.
Oh, he's looking lean and mean. And I was being a smart ass about the patriarchy there, Gregory Walker. I fully believe, and you can find entire interviews with me where I bang on the whole interview about we're in a feminine society, we're in a feminine system. There's nothing masculine about it. Right, and that's where I'm in agreement with you. And to answer my own rhetorical question is, now that we're in 2025, we have a new president. America's number one again, and everyone's really excited about everything that is going to be fixed and repaired and moving forward. Has it though? I mean, are we still living under conditions that are comfortable? Well, Trump hasn't even taken office yet, and the free speech people are already like, yeah, no, not so much with that free speech. And the anti-globalization people are already like, Yeah, we really like globalization. Let's do it American though. We'll call it American globalization. Now we can be pro globalization. Before bad, just globalization bad. American globalization good.
Mhm.
Well,
Yep.
that's the branding to make America great again. Well, there was 4 years when that was sort of a goal, and now there's a 4 year break, and now the ping pong ball's on our side of the table, and what are we doing with it?
Well, if you're American and you're listening to this, unfortunately, according to Vivek Ramaswamy, you're an untrainable retard. So there's no hope for you. None whatsoever. Puppy.
Well, I mean, I don't disagree with that.
Well, okay, so then here's the thing. If we're going to address
He's got to be right sometimes.
the country of India, is that what they call themselves? I don't know if we need to do a land acknowledgement at this point and what the proper procedure moving forward is to talk about Indian people.
I
And
think
the
we have to
question
poop
of
outside.
are we also talking about Hindu Indians, or are we talking about Muslim Indians or Christian Indians? So are we talking about
I'm going to presume that no matter what religious faith, that they're pretty much, the Chinese and the Indian cultures are very rigid and structured, where Americans are kind of wild. We're individualists. They're not individualists. We're a very white culture is very individual, and there's in Chinese and Indian cultures not so much. And I mean, we're talking about people that still live in a fully caste system. Like, that's hard to imagine in today's world, that these people live in a full caste system to the point where somebody in the lower caste goes and saves the life of somebody in the upper caste, they can get killed for having touched them. Like, that's a little wild.
Sure. So this is my concern. If we go back to 1990s, where we have this global coffee house aesthetic, where people are learning about Starbucks and they're accessing the internet, and now there's sort of this global village situation where we're seeing the best quality food from other cultures, and Americans are just like, oh, we love it, we love it, we love it. We love living in the city and being able to eat from different cultures at their restaurants and see their fashion and their art and their music and celebrate the best quality that they're bringing to America. And now in 2025, the nightmare seems to be the worst aspects of that culture are put front and center, and now we're focusing on that. So going back to November, December 2024, just 6 weeks ago, Reddit, people post their questions in Reddit and they have their opinions and they share them. There were an influx of English speaking Indians who were flooding the boards. Now, people aren't using their face, so you don't really know anything about them, but people were very Indian in their posting and the way they're posting. And there's maybe some accounts that were parody Indians, to be like pretending to be the worst possible Indian for humor, for trolling effect. But this really riled people up. And the assumption was on English speaking social media sites that the people behind the usernames would look like me, share the same values as me, know the same music, these types of things. But this was the shock, that there are Indians in India who are posting on American message boards, and that's a bad thing. So then there was a racist backlash to say, we don't want to have this change the culture of the board. So the culture, the topics that were posted, the things that were upvoted and celebrated, it was very insular, the people that were there. But then the culture changed, and now people are hating on them. And the result was that was weaponized against certain subreddits to get those subreddits banned because the moderation staff wasn't.
Is this what happened to Glow?
His story about posting to the Donald subreddit for a time and then Reddit.
Doesn't he run with all
admin-
the Indian kids? Isn't that who he tries to get to be alpha boy? You know, tries to take all these little Bobs and Vagine dudes and tries to.
Correct. So that has to do with globalism on the internet, where people from all these different countries are all showing up to the same places and posting at them. And then because of the weaponization of that, people are saying words that are offensive. And because too many offensive words are being posted, it gets targeted. And then they just delete the whole space where the conversation was happening.
Yeah.
So the point I'm making here in a greater sort of concern that I'm sharing with the force of this Indian immigrant H-1 visa thing, because people are upset about it or they have questions about it, and maybe they're being a little insensitive in the way they're phrasing questions and trying to learn about this new topic, it comes across as being white supremacist, patriarchal, all the things that are insensitive. So then that whole conversation gets shut down and removed.
Yeah.
So that's my question in terms of what conversations are hot and are encouraged to be warfare on our social media platforms for the sole purpose of having casualties, taking down accounts,
Mm-hmm.
taking down platforms and places where people are having conversation. So it might seem like it's more open, but let's be suspicious and treat that as a trap and tread gently, and then wait and see if there's people that are punished for their post histories and for the things they're saying.
Yeah. I mean, if, it's down to individual executives at social media companies to decide what
Right.
is and isn't censored. But we already know over the whole last several years that multiple different governments lobby for things to be removed or individuals to be removed all the time. So there's truly a censorship industrial complex
Right.
that doesn't have borders. It only has individual petty agendas that get enacted out under the name of national security, or this violates our misinformation policy because they're telling you things that we don't like.
Right. And it makes me feel nervous or anxious that you're posting about that. So I report to you, and then depending on what country you're in, you get a knock at your door where someone has a mental health check to say, how are you feeling? We know your post history because you're logged into your Twitch account, which is connected to your Microsoft account, which is connected to your Windows PC, which sees all your keystrokes. So it's like the illusion of privacy was already shattered with Snowden's revelation. It's like we have to be reminded again and again and again and again. Let's not get too comfortable here.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I mean, we tell people on the show all the time, there's the digital world, and ever increasingly in the 3-dimensional one, there's only operational security. There's no such thing as privacy, and most people have none to next to no operational security.
Yeah.
So it's all out there.
But then to be an influencer, you give up all of that for the opportunity to see, could I get paid for the things that I'm already doing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then at that point, they know who you are. You've identified yourself to multiple companies, to multiple platforms. And then at that point, you can't be the alternative.
Are you only an influencer if you get paid?
That's a good question. Are influencers defined by them being paid? I think that's the goal of every influencer, isn't it? To be compensated to do brand deals, to have advertisements run on your stuff, and then receiving payouts for that.
I mean, it's definitely a workable business model if you don't, you never want to have an opinion or a thought again.
Listen, Marcus,
Mm-hmm.
just because you're ready to suck Ricola dick in order to get your throat lozenged doesn't mean the rest of us are.
That's true.
Well, you should be, because this is how I fuel these streams and keeps my vocal cords operating.
Have you ever even once tried to go Ricola?
Let me just tell you, I tried these dollar store off-brand things, and you know what? It's just painful. It hurts. It makes my mouth feel worse, and my throat just tighten up in the worst possible way. These Ricolas, every time, never disappoints.
Never disappoints.
Never disappoints.
The last influencer I knew gave me influenza. I could have used some Ricola.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Oh shit!
You got any news on swine flu? Are we doing a big sickness?
They did find the first human case of bird flu, or first death of bird flu, or something like that.
Was
in
it
the
Mr.
U.S.
Snuffleupagus?
It was not Mr. Snuffleupagus.
Oh
Well,
Yeah.
question then. So maybe we don't have a really big one, but maybe we still have maybe the
maybe
food
you
back.
don't have a big one.
Just a
We
little sniff.
I mean, hey, fortunately for America and the rest of the world, Poppy Warp Speed is heading back into the White House, so
Yeah.
it'll be okay. It'll be okay. It'll be brand new mRNA treatments and all
Right.
kinds of neat little rules.
Yeah, we're gonna have $2 gas because the gas was all Biden's fault, despite the fact that Trump put a tariff or not a tariff. He full on embargoed Iran, and every time historically you embargo Iran, it doubles gas prices, and
Okay.
did that right before he left office. So it almost seems like, wow, weird. Like the prices were going to double anyways.
So we can have
That was him.
$2 gas, but if your vehicle repair is
We're not going to get that now because they're banging
$2,000.
on about how good it is to be at war with Iran. They're trying to bang the Iran war drum, and unless Iran is in the oil trade, gas don't get cheaper.
Vehicle repairs aren't getting cheaper. So even if we have $2 gas, that's a dream, but we're not taking road trips.
$117 for a fucking taillight because it's the whole unit.
Dude, I just saw a dude who's just getting injector cups on a truck like mine. They want $4,400 just to do the injector cups. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Holy cow. I can't imagine doing a job like my rear end or something like that, what that would cost. I really don't. I mean, it didn't cost us that much. I got a whole brand new rear end. I mean, carrier and everything upgraded for like $1,500. But if you're gonna pay them, apparently that's like an $8,000 job or something.
And then you're parking your vehicle until you can save up the money to repair it. I do see a lot of people driving the electric bicycles.
Yeah.
In January.
We were just recently in the city, and I seen a lot of that.
Yeah.
And I know those people would prefer to have a windshield and 4 doors and a ceiling so they don't have to experience the wind chill.
Well, then also, how many of those people also don't have a driver's license, don't, for whatever reason? Because I don't think if it's electric like that, as long as it's given size, I don't think you need any kind of a license or insurance or any of that. So, I mean, you're really avoiding a lot of expenses with it. Not just the gas.
Well, maybe we could argue that we should have more licenses and more insurances.
I would argue against that. But you have to carry for those e-bikes, like there's a couple of hoops you have to jump through and stuff like that. They're not, yeah. It's like you can get pulled over on them. You know.
Well, sure, I'm sure you still have to
Okay.
navigate. You still have to follow normal traffic laws, but can't you just fucking put in like a couple bucks in a little machine on the way by? The last time I was in San Francisco, you just put a couple bucks in a machine and just you're off and ripping.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the cities that put in the infrastructure to have e-bikes available on rental, so you could drive a bike around the city.
But I'm saying, obviously, there's not a driver's license requirement or anything like that because it's an e-bike. So that's a huge thing. You imagine how many people that could still want transportation, but now that you're on an electric bike, you don't even get checked for a driver's license. It's not even a thing. As long as you obey normal traffic laws, you're good to go.
Yeah, I haven't looked up the laws to see if, certain size e-bikes are regulated. Like if you have a smaller one, could it drive, a sidewalk that has little arrows? Like they'll print diamonds on some of the sidewalks where you can drive, like children can ride bikes on them. But as far as enforcement of traffic violations because adults are riding e-bikes on sidewalks and jaywalking with them and not stopping at stop signs.
But that's once again, you're breaking traffic regulations. That's a whole different thing than having regulations just to ride the e-bike.
Sure. So then I'm arguing in favor of, letting the
if you were
e-bike
riding
riders.
a horse, you would still have to follow those same set traffic regulations. You couldn't go
What
whipping.
I'm stating is the e-bike rider doesn't know the traffic violations because they haven't taken the behind the wheel tests that would require them to get a driver's license.
So you're
how would they
advocating
know?
for electric motored vehicles, small motors like that, to require a driver's license now? That's what you're saying?
I'm talking about the education, wherein community ed would offer a more affordable option for students to take a written test to get a driver's permit. There was still an out-of-pocket expense for that. So what I'm saying is there could be an option for that to be a class taken in high school for people who want to go through the program, get a equivalent of a permit, and then not have to pay for it because it would be included in it. So to remove the barriers,
free permit for e-bikes?
I'm talking about removing the cost of getting the education.
I'm not.
Yeah, I'm not sure I follow.
The question was with riding an e-bike and not having a driver's license. Having the driver's license is.
Well, I wasn't stating that wasn't a question. I was stating that with the e-bike, you don't need a driver's license, nor do you need insurance. So there's other benefits to it besides not paying just for the gas. That you, like, say you're an illegal immigrant, say you've had a DUI, say what you've had your driver's unpaid fines, whatever. An e-bike, all those people can ride an e-bike.
Sure. So then here's the question I'll ask you then. What is the difference between an e-bike and a motorcycle, and who determines what the difference
electric
is?
Motor and a gas motor?
Okay. So are there
you
motorcycles that have the same CC and horsepower capacity that are
horsepower capacity doesn't apply on an e-bike. It don't matter. It's electric or gas, and gas are regulated, electric or not. In that way, they switch again. They still have to follow traffic laws. That's a whole separate issue. If you were on a horse, you couldn't go blowing through a stoplight.
And that's where I pause to say the issue of understanding the traffic law goes to the education. And
once again, that you could be on a horse, You could be on a skateboard. You
Right.
could be on rollerblades. You could have lassoed a pig and be hopping along on a pig.
Mhm.
You would still get that ticket if you blow through that stoplight.
Okay, so I understand your excitement. You've got a new e-bike for Christmas. You haven't driven a car before. You don't know traffic rules, but you've got the means to go to the other side of town. And then at that point, the officer pulls you over because you're not stopping at stoplights, you're endangering pedestrians, you're weaving in and out of traffic. Does the officer say, you know what? Here is the website to download the PDF to read the traffic regulations. Please read them before you ride your bike again?
No, they make you take a class. They give you a ticket and they make you take a class. And you've got a sheriff that teaches the e-bike safety class, and you have to go give up 4 hours of your Saturday or something like that to do it. That's the process.
Okay.
So then is that after getting recognized for your poor driving behavior, you receive the benefit of a free education?
Yeah.
No, it's not
But at
free.
what
You paid the ticket.
So you're paying the fine, and then you're also
And I'm sure
required
you're
to attend
paying for the
class.
class also.
And no, it's a well, I guess it depends by county by county, but yeah.
Sure.
The nice thing with them e-bikes is they come in full size, because on gas motors, this also applied to anything under 50 cc. So like you see a lot of those little pocket bikes are 49 cc, and 49 cc you don't need a license and all that, where 50 cc you do. But them little 49 cc bikes are all tiny, where an adult's not going to ride that so much.
So
Oh,
then
that's hilarious.
is there any concern about people modifying these e-bikes, pimping out their rides, making them run faster? And is that all unregulated?
I don't know. How do you mod out an electric motor?
Right.
Like what? Do you just like get an extra battery and jump it on there? Like, like fucking we're rolling along and, hey, Steve, open up that compartment. Marcus, grab the cables. Whoa!
We give it more electricity. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. How does that even work?
Right. So now with the e-bike situation, that seems to be taken on. People are comfortable with e-bikes. And that's
I got to imagine that as those more of them appear, there's going to be regulations that are going to appear with it. There's just no way there's not. And then there's going to be motors that even if you can't mod the motor, bigger motors are going to come out. You're going to, as soon as you see a dude ripping by on 60 on an e-bike, just know that there's regulations coming.
Yeah. Right now they can only go like 35 tops.
Yeah.
And the city bikes and stuff like that have a governor on them to where they don't go over like 15.
Sure. So then let's zoom out a little bit and examine, the success of e-bikes and culture and say, well, you might see that as a benefit to some people, but now if that's what low income people are not enforced to, but all the other options are eliminated, so that's the only option that remains for them.
So we just end up looking like a third world country with a bunch of people running around on little e-bikes. Little carriers on the back, little carts. Oh, fuck, dude. I want to see Marcus driving one of those. I will buy him the little hat, and I want Marcus on a fucking little ricochet bike. Dude, he's got the beard. He's already got the beard. Yep. This is, he you know what?
I'll deliver 80 gigabytes to you, and you can call me Johnny Mnemonic.
Okay.
You know how few people know that movie?
Too few people.
Yeah, it was real bad movie from back in the 90s.
Oh man,
I remember it. It's from when I lived in South Dakota, and the only thing to do is go to the movies on the weekend because everything was frozen cold, and you're not 21 yet. So yeah. went and saw Johnny Mnemonic, and wow, was that bad. Real bad. Had Ice-T in it, though. Equally bad. He just got in a bunch of trouble for driving around without. I was watching the video. It was pretty hilarious because I do this too. So it just made me laugh. I'm not even judging the guy. But the cops like pulls him over because his plates hadn't been registered in like 4 years. And he's like, cop pulls him over and he's like, yeah, I'm on my way. I'm just going to get it registered now. Yeah, I'm just going to take care of it. And the cop pulls it open and he's like, it's been 4 years. He goes, yeah, I'm going to take care of it. Like, he goes, okay, I see your driver's license. And he goes and he hands it to him. He goes, that's expired too. Like, yeah, I'm going to take care of it. Like,
oh, fuck what do you mean you're going to tow it? No, dude, I'm driving it to DMV right now.
Yeah, it's just right over here. It's over in that jet. It's over there. Oh, fuck, when fucking, I can't remember. There was one time I got pulled over and it'd been like 4 or 5 years since I'd gotten the plates on my truck, and the cop did that to me. And he's just like, I was like, yeah, I've been working on taking care of you. He goes, it's been 4 years. Like, it's taking me a minute.
I mean, I've had some things come up, guy. Yeah. I don't know. You've never had a complicated life? You sitting there judging me, Tubby? Huh?
I had to read
you got all day to sit down in the DMV. Like, you can just do that any fucking day, and it's only open some days. I don't even know why you're bothering me.
Right.
And my other complaint is because a president reached 100 years old and then died. He should have stayed alive. But on Thursday, the United States Postal Service, the USPS, is taking the day off.
Okay.
They're like, are they all gonna eat lutefisk that day? Because that was the weakest, stinkiest fish of a president that's ever been.
Well, I didn't clarify as to whether or not no one is allowed to enter a USPS facility if their doors remain locked, lights off.
No, you can still go in, go get your if you rent a box, that's never closed.
Yeah.
They're just not going to have a service counter person.
They won't be making mail deliveries on Thursday.
Yeah. Yeah, because a weak fish of a president who was just horrible. Just horrible. Died. Yeah. I mean, he wasn't overtly like actively bad person, but he did nothing good. Like, he was just like completely impotent, like a eunuch of a president.
So do you have one term?
Mm-hmm.
Did he make people feel better about Vietnamese situations?
Well, the whole thing is we were in such a weird state back then, very similar to the one that we're in right now, where we had the whole the DNC shakeup, where the DNC, similar to the way it is now, was a very moneyed party, and they tried to push Hubert Humphrey III down everybody's throats. And the people,
they named a Metrodome after him.
Right. They wanted somebody to name the Metrodome after. I know. Mm-hmm. And and we're actually pushing George McGovern, which is a really super interesting thing because South Dakota's got like no people whatsoever. And both McGovern and Humphrey are from South Dakota. Like, just wild. I mean, I know the Metrodome's named after him, but the guy's from either Condi or Doland. I don't remember which, South Dakota. They're right next to each other. I don't remember which one it is. But the people wanted McGovern, and the moneyed people, similar to the Bernie Sanders thing with Hillary Clinton, said, nah, you're getting this other person, and overrode the will of the people. Only back then people had more gumption and they had a full-on riot. And this is what led to Nixon. And then that was such a horrifying fiasco with the Watergate and all that. That's what led to Carter, who is just worthless.
And there's a whole ritual celebration ceremony happening to recognize this presidential figure.
Trump's all bummed because the flags have to fly at half-mast during his inauguration. Because after a U.S. president dies in D.C., all around, they fly the flags at half-staff for fucking like 60 days or 30 days or something like that. And it's going to fall within his inauguration.
Huh.
Interesting.
Old man Bush has got to be about ready to drop off, isn't he?
Well, I think they have to fill out some paperwork and schedule their time of leaving this mortal coil, just to make sure that the U.S. Postal Service can schedule their time off and not deliver.
Mm-hmm. You talking about Poppy Bush?
Yeah.
Senior guy.
He died in freaking 2018.
Oh geez, I somehow passed.
Did he have as much of a celebration?
Now I do remember that. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. And Clinton and W, they aren't that old. They'll be around for a while.
Yep. I don't know, man. Bill Clinton looks like he's full in the middle of like syphilis rot. He is not looking good, man.
It'd be nice if he'd start a podcast. You know,
they stopped giving him.
podcast.
They stopped giving him the adrenochrome from the unvaxxed kids, and now he's just disintegrating in front of our eyes.
It takes its toll. He
didn't even turn up when his wife got the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
Oh wow! The things that the Biden administration's doing here at the end, just wild.
Right?
Wild.
Give George Soros a Presidential Medal of Freedom. Give one to Hillary Clinton. We'll have Magic Johnson bend over and twerk for him. It'll be great,
dude. And then the picture of Clinton, because I saw the picture of Clinton getting it, and in the background is Magic Johnson, the outside of Eazy-E. He was the second person I remember having the HIVs.
The HIV, yeah.
And he's just fine still years later. He's back there just him and Bill Nye, the actor guy, are back there chilling out. And I'm like, wow. And that's honestly that picture, that comment at the beginning of the show when I said you had two things I remember when we first started, your little coined phrases. Literally, that picture is the one that made me think, God, it is just so overwhelmingly cartoonish now.
Freaking cartoon, huh?
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Is it a fun cartoon?
For proof. See, right there, living a cartoon.
Yeah. Masks. Are people still masking up? Are you seeing?
Oh yeah. There was an uptick in it over the holidays. At least here, Bay Area.
Right. So there was the concern about particulates in fog, and people were digging up papers and declassified documents about using fog for various purposes that could contribute to a few days of some real big sniffles and flu-like symptoms. I don't know if it has HIVs-like symptoms.
Because I don't ever remember every single year people in this time of year getting sick. I don't remember that at all. Yes, it's always happened. Forever. People have been cooped up inside for a little while. You're breathing horrifying air. The weather's bad. There's things building up in your home that you need to let out. This is a very typical thing, and you get sick in the winter, and you get sick again in the summer, like in the spring when everything changes again. It's just your body adjusting.
Yeah.
I don't know why there has to be a magic fog.
Because you can't get people scared enough to give up what remaining rights they have if it's just seasonal illness.
Do we have flu shot numbers for the season so far? Or are those numbers up? Or are more people trusting in their local pharmacy and the grocery store to deliver a healthy, happy flu shot to them to keep them from? Does that prevent them from getting the flu, or does it just make the flu-like symptoms less? How are they marketing? Because they would sell them to older people to say, you guys are,
Mhm.
your body's breaking down, your immune system might be more susceptible to whatever's going around, but we can't really tell you what's going around or how that works. But you know what? Here's a flu, and maybe it's covered by your health care provider. So schedule your flu shot today.
Yeah, I'm
You
gonna
don't need
pass
to
on that.
schedule it. You could just walk into a freaking CVS or a Walmart or a Safeway or
There's not
pretty
a big
much
line
anywhere.
for it?
There's literally no, there's no line for it. But I mean, literally, just about anywhere on with a freaking storefront will shoot you up. It's-
Well, I wondered why, Great Clips didn't get in on this. So, like, get a haircut and get a flu shot. You're already sitting in the chair. You're not doing anything.
yeah.
So, I mean, innovation in business, there are still opportunities, obviously. I just
You
listed
could
one.
then they'd have to name their store Cut, Stick, and Boot. You cut the hair, stick them, and boot them out the door.
Oh, I thought that you would get a free boot kiss. You'd get to lick a boot for free.
Well, that was also in there.
Okay, that was implied. All right. It's like leather. Do they even allow real leather boots to be made? Or is PETA completely prevented people from purchasing leather?
Oh no, you can still get leather boots, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah,
American made, even.
Okay.
America.
Yeah.
So are we bringing back manufacturing and industry?
Uh,
Or
Well-
is that going to stay down in Mexico, in Monterrey, right up against the border, and then we're just going to take that part of Mexico into USA?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what
I
I'm
was
talking-
taking all of
America!
Mexico, apparently.
America. You know the easiest way to get by tariffs? We just move the border.
Right.
That is how
We're
you
not
do
going to
this.
build new facilities, in the next 2 to 3 years to get things operating.
Why would you need to build them? We could just take theirs.
They're already
America.
functioning. They're already working. We just have
Right.
to
Yeah.
draw a line around them to include them in our border. So it's good that he didn't build a wall. Maybe we could build better infrastructure over the border and put more lanes on those highways.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to need photo IDs to cross, though? Or are they going to remove the photo ID requirements for crossing the border at that point?
I mean, if it's all part of the
Greater
Greater-
America.
yeah, then ostensibly you would be able to travel anywhere within the borders of it as a citizen.
Now. How many people live in Denmark even?
Not a ton.
Denmark. Where is Denmark? Is that by Greenland?
Northern Europe.
Well, they own Greenland.
Just
and
below,
they're
like,
the ones
Scandinavia.
stopping. They're the ones stopping Greater America because obviously it's not Canada doing it.
Selfish
We've already seen
fucking
Canadian
Danes.
bacon, and John Candy by himself could defeat Canada. Even though, yes, I know he's passed. I'm aware. The ghost of John Candy alone, just
Mhm.
with his actual humor, 5.9. So if you add Canada and Denmark together, we come up with about 6 million people. So yeah, I don't know that that's a big fight going to happen. That's why I also laugh when all these when all the politicians, in the liberal politics, when they go on about it and some of these things, it's like, that whole fucking country's less than any major city in the United States, right? Like, I understand that they have certain policies that they're able to do, but you're talking a much crazier, larger scale. And our country, because it's so much larger, is also a republic, And so each of the individual states inside that have rights and aren't supposed to be getting pushed around by the overall federal government, something liberals absolutely forget.
Mm-hmm.
I just forgot what you said. Could you say it again at the point about liberals?
Well, that they forget that we're individual states in a republic, so the federal government's not supposed to have overwhelming power. And you want to grab this cat, chuck it out. Overwhelming power and just push around the states and do things.
So big bad Trump pushed around to Trudeau in Canada, and the guy's already saying, "I'm done. I'm out of here." Right? So Trudeau in Canada has just said, "I'm done. Just take it."
No, that wasn't Trump.
There?
That wasn't Trump. Canada's just slightly behind us. No different than, like I said, again, when Steve first started, my prediction was that they're pushing so hard to the crazy left that there's going to be an ultra hard swing to the right coming. And Canada was just a little behind, and their ultra hard swing to the right's coming now. And Trudeau is stepping out before the bloodshed happens.
Yeah, I mean, he's,
yeah.
Technically, until there's a Canadian election, he doesn't have to leave. All he said is that he was stepping down as the head of the party.
Yeah, he's only stepping down as head of the party. He's not stepping, but he knows that he's gonna lose this next election.
Oh yeah.
It's 100%. And not only is he supposed to lose, it's supposed to be a red wave similar to the United States election in November, where basically it's conservative across the board. Boom, 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 boom. And so he is bailing, and not only that, but his right hand, person also said, no, I'm not taking the fall on this either. I'm not going to be the one that oversees the sinking of the ship.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's going on there, is they're just trying to not be the captain when the ship sinks.
Yep. And then the dude who's going to replace him, Pierre Poliver or whatever his name is, we played a clip of him this morning. You brought up Iran earlier, and how the incoming administration has a particular hard-on for war with them.
War drums.
Yep. Pierre Poliver is on, was talking the other day, saying that, well, if Israel wipes Iran off of the map, that's a gift to humanity from the Jewish state. That's a quote. It's a quote.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did he tweet that? Did he?
No, he said it to a
that?
camera on a microphone, part of like a press conference or something.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, it's not really going to be, any massive difference in foreign policy.
Does Iran have like a military march song that we can listen to just to kind of see?
Iran? Do
Yeah.
they? I'm sure they do.
So it's interesting that we can't seem to provoke a fight with any of the right wingers.
Yeah.
Even though we're all ready to, crap on Trump, crap on Elon, and things like that. They're all about picking fights with these, real stupid liberals who can't, put two thoughts together, but they won't come fight with us for some reason. And I've been trying pretty hard.
Yeah.
And I know Steve has a large platform and is well known and connected, and you get guys like, you see him debate some real idiots, but they won't debate anybody like us. It's I don't know what to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of those guys don't know how to have a conversation outside of partisan whataboutism. And so if you aren't just the ideological opposite, they don't really know what to do.
Yeah. Yeah, like when I can say something like, yeah, I couldn't stand Biden or the liberal parties, but I would never vote for Trump. I'm an actual patriot. I'm an actual veteran. I am in shock that any veteran would vote for a guy that skipped the draft. Sure, he got a rich boy's medical exemption. Who cares? You skipped the draft. You should never be commander in chief of the army. You were too good to go serve. You don't get to be chief. Like how are you claiming you're a patriot otherwise?
Well, he developed his patriotism later in life, Ben. Later in life.
Yeah, of course he wants us to be good patriots and go off and go to war for him.
Yeah.
But he wasn't ready to.
If we're talking military,
how do you at all claim
what are you
that
supposed to do? Leave the
values? How do you watch a video of him saying flat out that all you had to do to be president, if you wanted to do it, was run on a Republican ticket and say, I love God, I'm conservative, I'm against immigration, and I would win. And then that's what he did, and then he won. And then say that he actually believes what you believe, and he didn't just follow a script that he said if he followed, he would win.
Mm-hmm.
it's a humble brag for him to say what he's going to do and then do it and win, and people just went along with it. And I do have questions about the military in a place called Bragg. Is there a fort called Bragg? And why has that been in the news recently, producing some bad behavior, some mischievous
What's going on
behavior?
in Bragg? What are we talking about?
There's been reports of people, who have been committing some boo-boos, doing
You're
some
gonna have to be
antisocial behavior.
specific, Marcus.
The Cybertruck dude in Vegas on New Year's, and then the New Orleans guy who drove a truck into people.
Have they been classified as
stationed in Bragg?
Both stationed at Bragg, and the Ryan Roush, the dude who was gonna take a shot at Trump on the golf course, that seriously spooked up freaking weirdo.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently had been to Bragg like 60 times and stayed overnight there almost half of those times.
Are they going to change their name or shut down or, go under some
where the
investigation?
PSYOP division is headquartered anyway.
Okay.
I thought that was in Leonard Wood.
No, it's one of them, but the same fucking Army PSYOPs division that put out those Ghost in the Machine videos and stuff like that, that's Bragg.
So Bragg's developing a reputation.
The get trained in Leonard Wood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But like operators and stuff like that, and they're all out of Bragg. Like a couple of different locations for where they have, specialized camps and stuff like that. But I mean, because you can go from Bragg down to fucking.
It's Fort. Christy Crinkle says it's Fort Liberty now. It's not Bragg.
Oh, that's right.
Well, again, changing the name of a location, it's still the same building. It's still the same people running it.
Delta Force trains in Bragg, she says.
For part of the time, and then they go down to Georgia.
Interesting. Like I said, so when I was in, it was at least Special Forces, and I thought Delta trained in Fort Leonard Wood, and all the spooks got trained in Leonard Wood. When I was in AIT, a lot of the spies and anti-spies and other things like that were all in school with us because they would get stuck so long waiting for clearance, because some of these guys, it would take them 2 years to do clearance. Like, I was just a mechanic in the Army. I wasn't anybody special, so my background check was fairly mild. They had that completed before I was out of boot camp. But these guys that are doing these other things, they go around and talk to everybody they've ever talked to and have a conversation with them about the person. And some of them, it takes years. So while they're doing that, they have them take like mechanics school, different operator schools, tanker school, so that way any kind of equipment that they get out in the field with, they're trained on basically everything. Well, that takes years. So they do that while they're waiting on their clearance, and all that was in Leonardwood when I was down in there.
All right.
Are you saying there's been a lot more success stories coming out of that building, that property, than there have been capital T terrorists? So, I mean, that's just going to be what happens. You put a bunch of people through it, and some of them turn out to be, bad actors. And, well, that's just the price of doing business.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure not everybody passes clearance. Like
I mean,
said,
I guess the Cybertruck dude was a 18-year operator. Hey, dog, what are you doing?
When was the last time he was active?
I don't know.
Because like my cousin, her dad, it was a Navy SEAL sniper, and when he got deactivated, I think it was still 2 years before they fully released him because they were deprogramming him. It took 2 or 3 years, I don't remember which, before they let her dad back to the general public, freely.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was in, they told you, like, especially in, like I said, Leonardwood, don't look those guys dead in the eye. It's like a fucking pit bull. They'll snap. And then you're probably going to get hurt or deleted. One or the other. Just leave them alone. Don't look them in the eyes. You can tell them because they really do have that 1,000-mile stare, that 100-mile stare, or 1,000-yard stare, whatever they call it.
Mm-hmm.
They just walk around and it's like they're not there, and you can see it in their face right then and there. As soon as you walk in, you're like, oh, nope, just fucking nope.
Yeah.
Just dump all the news on us. Everyone goes back to work and school, and Monday and Tuesday have just been such huge news dump days that there's no way we're going to get through all of the details of all of these stories. It's almost as if the media wanted to say, hey, remember us?
When we were kids, we would still today be talking about the assassination attempt. Right. And combing through the details of that still today, like it just happened yesterday. I remember when I was 18 or 19 years old, fucking the OJ Simpson trial was on TV every day, fucking all day for a fucking year. Fucking year. And we only got 2 channels at fucking Interstate Detroit Diesel. And so at lunchtime, it was either watch Ricky Lake or some shit like that, or the OJ Simpson trial, and no mechanics are going to sit there and watch, Geraldo or whatever.
Right.
Like, that's not happening. So fucking we were all ready to see OJ get hanged by the end just because we were tired of fucking listening to his trial for a year. And now literally we had a air quotes assassination attempt on an ex-president, and at the time most likely incoming president, and that was forgotten about within days. I mean, it's something that gets brought up, like as a quip, like, oh yeah, and they tried to take him out. But I mean, is it something that truly gets talked about, in a meaningful way? No.
Will anyone write a book about it? Is anyone gathering all the information and sticking to the story?
Since Andrew motherfucking Jackson, has there been another president that's had that many attempts on him?
Is that his middle name? I didn't learn that in history class.
That was a family name. He came from a long line of motherfuckers.
Since Andrew Jackson, has there been another president like that's had that many open attempts? And Jackson crashed the Federal Reserve. Well, it wasn't called the Federal Reserve, but that's what it basically was. Jackson crashed the Federal Reserve. Like, yeah, he got a lot of attempts on him.
So with attempts on people's lives, there's a guy, Luigi Manchin guy, not affiliated with Nintendo, not affiliated with McDonald's, but seemed to serve as
Who?
a guy who
His name's Rigatoni Tortellini or something like that.
Oh, the insurance guy.
He had back problems. Maybe he had some concern about, not performing. He had some concerns about something, and he launched some.
I have theories on that, and actually, I wouldn't mind debating that with a girl. Where I have a theory that girls like dudes like that because they're at least willing to step out and do something, step up in some way. So even if you're pushing against the system, I think that there's some girls that just appreciate that. And so he's got a giant female following, and people are like, well, why do they like criminals? I don't think it's necessarily that you're a criminal. I think it's that you're willing to buck the system, and anybody that's willing to do that and step out and be their own man, that's attractive to them, where all these little sheeps that, whether it's red or blue or whatever, are just following along the line. That's not quite so sexy.
Like you find a jury
when you have a male leader, savior, Trump, emperor, God, or whatever.
Sure. So then you mentioned the OJ trial and how that was just news and every little thing that happened in the trial.
8 hours a day, every day.
Every detail was talked about for an hour. Every little detail was a new detail in the story, and they overtalked that. Are they going to allow the judge? Is the judge going to allow cameras into the Luigi trial? Is there going to be a televised trial? Is this going to be too much of a populist celebration of the people celebrating the death of a big bad?
I'm assuming there's going to be a media spectacle, so they're going to automatically narrow that down to a pool of who's allotted to go in there, is what I'm assuming. Steve is definitely if he'd pay a fucking attention, he's the expert on this kind of thing. It could tell us exactly how this is going to work.
Well, we have the next 12 months to talk about it. There's a lot to talk about in this Luigi guy's story.
Steve, who are they going to allow in the courtroom for Rigatoni's thing?
A guy who looks exactly like Jack Ruby.
Is this discrimination?
What they're gonna do?
There is that photo of Luigi wearing a sweater.
They dressed him identically. They dressed him identically to Lee Harvey Oswald, like the exact same color sweater, the exact same color slacks.
Was that his team deciding how they're gonna dress for the photo?
Dude, I think that kid was set up like a freaking stack of bowling pins. I think he I do not think that he pulled the trigger on that dude. His family and all of the stuff that they're caught up in or they do for money is directly connected to the freaking Baltimore mob families that Nancy Pelosi comes from.
Sure. So then I'll ask you, does the adoration the public is outpouring for this guy seem to kind of conspiracy proof it in terms of people not wanting to get to the truth of the situation?
I don't know if it makes it conspiracy proof, but there's
no audience who wants to have that angle explored.
Yeah. Well, no, they're really. I mean, that's not going to stop a bunch of people from exploring it, but they won't get the kind of airtime it deserves. But I've seen
it's going to get explored like mad. In 20 years, that dude's going to get talked about similar to the way Manson does, where people are going to do whole 3-hour breakdowns on dark rigatoni.
Sure, and I've had this thought before, but it seems like, we mentioned the idea of it being set up in some way. There is the movie deal, the book deal, all the storytelling, the who's going to play him in the movie and who's going to play him in the documentary and who's this whole thing. It almost seems as if our media apparatus with intellectual property rights, all of this is set up to then allow for these situations to be absolutely maximized upon from the moment the event happens. So there's people jumping at it saying, you know,
what I haven't followed this. What are they charging him with for starts?
Murder,
being really attractive and good.
Yeah,
looking.
but what
It's one of the
level of murder? I mean,
I don't know if he's. I don't know if he's.
Murder are they hitting him with?
I don't even know if he's had he's had to have had a bond hearing and an arraignment.
That's what I'm saying. There has to be some charge that their starting position.
Mm-hmm.
What is their start position for?
They're probably
how
going.
Murdery was his murder.
Yeah.
To what degree was it murderous?
Yeah.
How much damage did he do?
Well, and obviously it includes, he thought about it beforehand. He made a whole plan, but there are some other factors, like they could put under duress and all kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
So how murdery are they looking at? And with, have you Wikipedia'd this or whatever? Typed in how murdery is he?
I'm looking. I'm trying to find it.
And then they aren't going to hit him with terrorist. He only killed one person, and it was very specific. And then once we figure that out, what are the level of the charges in that state for that level?
Well, it's New York State, so life without parole is what they're saying is on the table, facing state and federal charges, but I don't see them list the charges themselves
state
listed.
And federal?
Mm-hmm.
Neither.
Yeah, because he had a ghost gun allegedly, which he traveled across state lines with. So he took a quote unquote illegal gun across state lines that automatically makes it federal.
So the feds typically pick it up at that point, and the state drops it.
Well, he hasn't been there hasn't even been I just saw a thing where they've been trying to get the trial delayed or pre-trial delayed and all that kind of stuff.
I did see that the attorney made some motions that had already made some motions, because I was watching one of the trial videos, and she wasn't wrong. She was showing where they were actively making this into a publicity stunt, and she showed things and said, how exactly, because part of the idea behind a fair jury trial is that the idea that you're going to put together a group of people that doesn't have preconceived notions.
Mm-hmm.
And once you've made this into such a giant publicity stunt, the idea of finding that group of people without said preconceived notions drops down substantially.
Is there a visa
nationwide
for jury? Could we just outsource jury selection, make a special visa where they can come to New York?
Sir, I'd be very good on your jury, sir.
Isn't that what that H1N1 visa is about?
Yeah, it's about jury pools.
Isn't that another name given to a kind of a
show
bird
show
flu?
me your bobs and vagine. I say it is innocent. Innocent, very nice bobs. Very, very nice.
Mm-hmm. I say you're not guilty, we make fuck.
You said money order. Jury nullification, money order.
So here's the thing.
Luigi dude did enter a plea of not guilty. Preliminarily.
What was the plea to? What was it to?
Federal charges,
murder and firearms violations.
Firearms violations? That's not a fucking life sentence. That's not fucking...
No. Murder in New York with an illegal, quote unquote, illegal gun, though, is not going to be a little easy charge.
Do they have video of him?
Yeah. Well, they have video of allegedly him.
Sure.
They
So
have
then they
video
have
of
to
someone who-
prove that the person in the video is the person in the courtroom.
So it's saying in the Office of Public Affairs, United States Department of Justice says Luigi Mangione charged with the stalking and murder of United Healthcare CEO. So that probably adds a little flavor to it, a little spice into the murder, because you add the stalking in there. That's
Well, yeah, you had to figure out where the guy was going to be.
well, that's part of the different variations of the murder. Is that's part of what they're determining is how much you thought about it. Was it a crime of emotion, things like that. There's a lot of different things, and yeah, it looks like they're definitely giving him the full-sized. I don't know the name of any of the porn stars that have the giant dicks. I guess Jeremy Hole or Ron Jeremy strap on over it.
Well, he played Mario, didn't he?
Isn't that guy in prison too?
Yeah,
Ron
where he
Jeremy
was. Yeah.
For playing Mario?
No, for being hella rapey.
Yeah.
I know Nintendo is rather litigious in protecting their
Oh, dude,
intellectual
and that's
property.
just wild, right? Because you've had girls do the most crazed things, willingly, and then you go and have to do that. Like that's just wild, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It was, out of control. Dude was out of control for decades, I guess. There's like a handful of those dudes that just sort of fully go over to the dark side. Don't know how you couldn't if that's your environment and that's all you know.
Yeah, I seen some pictures that you see the memes floating around or whatever, and one of them is hanging out with that kid from Terminator, and the two of them just looked horrifying. You're like, wow, did you eat anything healthy ever? Did you try a drink of water? No. Have you breathed air without intoxicants in it?
What are you doing, jackass? Jesus, dog. Oh, I need to feed you, huh?
Oh, he's hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure he's starving.
He's keeping time for us.
Meathead.
Do we have anyone to thank? Any comments from any of the chats?
Let's go check.
We wanted to test to make sure that we were streaming to all the streaming places.
Well, we're going to try and get Miss Moyer on, I guess, next week. I haven't asked yet, but I have asked if she wants to come on. We just didn't have a subject. And have her come on and debate what's that thing called? Simulation theory.
Simulation.
Have her probably debate simulation theory, and we're working on it after that. So hopefully, most likely, Emily Moyer next week.
Yeah, let us know what the hot topics are in terms of interest. What are the most interesting topics for us to dig into? There's research involved, naturally. You can see us tonight doing the research live to figure out, well, what are the charges? When we have a little bit more time to prepare for this stuff, we'll have the research at hand ready to go to argue the point based off of the factual information. What topics?
They're going to be stuck in motions for a minute for as much as they're publicizing this also.
Yeah.
Jury nullification.
Well, that's another factor in it that they have to look at with this being as highly publicized as it is. That jury nullification is absolutely a thing at that point. There's enough people that know about it and know about him that could easily be a factor in this.
And his name alongside jury nullification has been shown up on a lot of the social media platforms.
Oh.
All right.
So there are people learning about jury nullification for the first time.
Oh, what are
Continue
your
to do
odds of
researches.
getting an untainted pool at this point? That's not, you almost automatically, and you know that their attorney's going to throw motions on it if they try and pick a pool of a bunch of 80-year-olds who somehow have not accessed any social media or cable in years.
Sure.
Mhm.
I mean that could be something we could debate in terms of getting out of jury duty. Do you want to announce right away when they ask you your name and tell you something about yourself? You say, "Oh, I'm a firm believer in jury nullification." Do you say that
Yeah,
right?
I'm a felon and I believe in jury nullification.
Or you just
but
keep
I would
that
love to sit on your jury.
right. You just kind of keep that to yourself in your back pocket.
Well, it depends on whether or not you want to nullify that jury, right? Like if you actually wanted to participate in jury nullification, you wouldn't say anything. You'd get on the jury and then you would nullify it.
Sure.
know?
Exactly. But then
if you want to get out of jury duty, then you're
it end up some crime that I actually thought that the dude, like, obviously if you're a graper, then I think you should go to prison. Well, honestly, I think you should get hung on the
I think you got poor taste if you like
the courthouse
grape Kool-Aid.
Grape Kool-Aid, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, if you're not down with grape Kool-Aid, you're probably not.
If you're not drinking fresh squeezed orange juice as an adult,
right.
I do.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it.
So are there laws that are still in the books that people are getting charged for that we could debate against?
Oh God, there is, and that's what makes it arbitrary is they like to leave as many laws on the books as possible so they can arbitrarily just go through and pick one, because I guarantee everybody's guilty of something almost of every day, because there's so many arbitrary weird laws on the books. In Deadwood, South Dakota, $10,000 fine to spit on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Like, do they employ that? No. But if the cop wanted to be a dickhead and saw you do that and was aware of that law, you betcha they can arbitrarily enact those things. And so that's part of why they never take laws off the books. Leaves them less options.
Could we argue that there was a little flower growing and that we were just giving it a little bit of love and attention? Are there benefits to spitting on the sidewalk?
Probably not. Probably not.
Yeah, no. Probably not.
No. I remember one year I was flying out of Indiana. I was flying out of Indianapolis, and it was election day. And this is back when I was drinking, and I tried to get a beer, and they were like, "We don't sell beer until the polls close on election day." And I'm like, I'm on the other side of airport security, about to get into a plane and fly away. And you're telling me that Indiana law says, even though I would have to leave the airport, go find an open polling station, somehow manufacture an Indiana ID with credentials on, all that kind of stuff, wait in line, go vote, and come back and catch my flight? You think I'm going to do that? Or you think I'm going to get like rip snorting drunk in the airport bar and be like, fuck it, I don't need to go home today. What I really need to go and do is vote as close to the Indianapolis airport as humanly possible.
Because a lot of people who are leaving the airport start getting drunk at the airport bar. That's so common. I know that I prefer to only drink drinks that are 3 or 4 times as much as it would be at a normal bar, much less at home if I'm getting home.
Yeah. I mean, you're not really flying unless you paid $27 for a shot.
I think that was dating advice. Go to airports and just hang around airports.
Right?
You can buy a cheap flight ticket and then just not get on a plane and hang out in the bar for a few hours and maybe
Well,
find a
it was
date that way.
probably easier when they didn't stop people at check-in, like, you know,
Mhm.
back when you could just like walk anywhere in an airport back before 9/11.
Hmm.
Will we ever have fun in airports ever again?
Not that much.
No.
No. Then the other note I have is spittoons. Should we be carrying those around or just like hocking loogies into handkerchiefs?
I had a spittoon. Don't know what happened to it years
Is it a
and years
musical
ago.
instrument?
No, it's just for spitting in.
Hmm.
Although they can be kind of musical if you get the brass ones or the tin ones that are metal, and you can
Hmm.
Do you
spit.
spit seeds into them, like the sunflower seeds with the
You can.
husks?
My
Yeah.
grandpa used to chew Copenhagen. My great grandpa, he'd chew Copenhagen, and then he'd buy me them cans of the ground up beef jerky, and we'd sit on his front porch and swing on his swing and spit in the spittoon.
Spitting out the used up tobacco into the spittoon?
Yeah, well, for him it was tobacco. For me, it was beef jerky,
Is
which
that
doesn't
why?
really require that much spitting. But you know, I wanted to be like great grandpa. You know,
Mhm.
so
Is that why they put a law on the books? Because too many people were spitting tobacco onto the sidewalks, and maybe dogs were licking it up, or kids were playing with it.
you know,
Sexy
Deadwood
messy.
back in the day. I know it doesn't. A lot of people don't make this association, but the Wild West was South Dakota. It wasn't
Yeah,
California. It wasn't. You know, it was the Dakotas, and you know,
Yeah.
right along that line. And Deadwood was a rough place, and still is. And I think at some point in time they were trying to probably clean up the city and make it respectable and all that. You know, because at some point in time there was a lot of money in Deadwood. It
Still
went
is.
from being, you know, all cutthroats and you know, people trying to take an opportunity to wealthy people, you know, in a fairly short time.
South Dakota tourism. It's huge.
Well, it wasn't the tourism, it was the gold mines. So the ones that struck it big in the gold, you know, became very wealthy and powerful. And then that, you know, the wealth area grew up around that.
Yeah. Yep. I get a bounce. You guys don't have to, but I got like
No, we'll try and set up
Just
something next
running
week.
the clock down.
3 or yeah. I know, dog. Stop looking at me like that.
Yeah. We'll try and get Emily in next week and try and get some debate opponents. I don't know.
We're doing
Ostensibly,
Tuesdays.
Andrew. Your father smells like elderberries.
So Steve's
You
got
know?
his laptop now, and we're looking forward to every Tuesday, same time.
Yeah, we
Going
can do
forward.
that. Yeah.
Well, this time's good for me. So, yep. Tuesdays at 6 now. Love you guys.
Cool. Y'all have a fantastic week. Thanks for hanging out with us.
So we can
Yeah.
end the show by saying, "See you next Tuesday, dudes."
Correct.
See you and cut it.
Tuesday. Yeah.
Tuesday. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Take care, everybody.